Swimming like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.
Welcome back, everybody. Here with Brian Butcher, President and CEO of Clemans, Nelson and Associates. Brian, talk a little bit about your journey with the firm, how you got to where you were, and sort of the progression of your career.
Sure. 2006, I finished up law school, and I actually got hired by the city of Columbus. I worked there on what they call a temporary 480 appointment, and was about to expire. And at the time, the department I worked for, politically, they couldn't extend it for some reason. But I had applied at Clemans, Nelson and Associates, and actually didn't miss a day of work. I transitioned out of the city of Columbus, went straight to Clemans, Nelson and Associates, where I was hired by a guy named John Kroc. John Kroc was a great mentor. We had a lot in common. He was a golfer. Very personable. I liked his style, and kind of followed him along for the next decade. And eventually, before I knew it, I was 32 years old. I was COO, and then COVID hit, and our current CEO, Mark Lucas, actually took a step back during COVID, to help us, from a payroll standpoint, because we didn't know what was ahead of us, and B, his wife had some health issues, and he just turned 65, so he's going to retire. And our board of directors hired me as CEO and president of the firm. I've been running the show there since 2020. We've actually had our two best years, which is pretty cool.
No, that's awesome. Leading into some of that success, one of my favorite parts of the podcast was, how do you attract new associates? How do you attract new people? And what have you guys done to create a more special experience for people? Well,
and maybe this has even taken some hints from my clients, but what we're seeing is the Gen Zers entering the workforce value a work experience, not just a job. So we're trying to give them an experience in the workplace, whether that be a sense of purpose from a civic standpoint, whether trying to create an environment where they work with people that they really like, because I do think if you work with people you like, you're going to be loyal to them, and create a better vibe, not just a paycheck, and put them out there and let them make decisions, meet with people, get them out of their comfort zone. But I think that's one of the things I've observed from my clients that I work with on a day-to-day basis, and stuff that they're doing to attract Gen Zers.
Yeah, no, I think that's well said. I think a lot of times when people think about a law firm, they could think if there's 15 attorneys at a firm, they almost have a singular focus, and there's some barriers and walls built up where they're together and exist physically, but they may just operate all separately. One of the things that sort of leads into is, how have you guys addressed that to create a more team atmosphere, to break some of those barriers down, but also let the clients know that, it's more than just one person?
Yeah, so in addition to, the basic team building stuff, one of the things that we do, and we try to bring our newer consultants along, is they follow a seasoned consultant around, and expose them probably for the first couple of years to some of the hard decisions, projects that you have to work on for a client. And in the HR field, a lot of it's about risk management, and some of the topics are uncomfortable putting them out there. But one of the other reasons why we try to put two people out there at a time is because if, for lack of a better phrase, somebody does get hit by a bus, we are able to transition the client quickly, and they trust who that they've been working with. It's not just a name. They know a face. They know how that person acts. They know that they have knowledge of what's happened, over the last couple years. And I found that to be really beneficial, particularly even when I transition clients away and, focus on the business side of the firm more, was, if they knew somebody else within the firm, not just by a name, but by a face, that made the transition a lot easier.
Oh, that's great. Before we sign off here, why don't you let anyone know that wanted to reach out, your contact information and website?
Sure. www.clemansnelson.com. I can always be reached at bbutcher@clemansnelson.com. I really appreciate, Phil. This has been super cool, and I wish you and the Shrimp Tank the best.
Appreciate it. For all of our listeners, don't forget, hit the like button, YouTube Shorts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get your streaming, we're on there. So Shrimp Tank Columbus. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.
I've been feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.